Luther shares our convictions and our vision, and maybe most importantly, he shares our agenda. We need each and every one of you to get a friend, go out, get a family member, get the whole family, and bring them out to vote for Big Luther Strange. Got to vote for him. Big Luther.
Trump, taxpayers, Tuesday. The final countdown is on in an Alabama runoff race between two Republicans. One, the president is backing. The other, the president is not. And if Gary B. Smith is right, taxpayers who want their cuts better watch this one closely. Hi, everybody. I'm Dagan McDowell. This is Bulls and Bears. Along with Gary B., the Bulls and Bears this week, Jonas Max Ferris and John Layfield, along with Emily Jashinsky and Chuck Rocha. Welcome to all of you. Gary B., why should taxpayers care about how this one turns out?
Well, Dagan, I think it's very simple. Unless the Congress is stacked with people who think like Trump, i.e., not an ideologue, a deal maker, or 500 odd deal makers, no tax legislation is going to get through. I think people were thinking that Donald Trump was maybe a next Ronald Reagan, a sunny, straightforward optimist that had very conservative beliefs, but he's shown, for better or worse, he's willing to change with the wind. He just wants to get things done. I think that's generally good. The people in Congress now are more rigid in their thinking, and they don't want to get things done. So the more people that Trump puts in Congress who think like him, that just want to move forward, the better chance we have of getting tax reform done.
John, do you agree with Gary B.?
I do agree with Gary B. that, look, you need some like-minded individuals. You need to be able to reach across the aisle. I think it's just abominable that Obamacare passed with a 100% partisan vote, and if it's repealed, it's going to be a 100% partisan vote. These guys refuse to work together on what they think are the best or the worst things in the economy. And if they can't work together on that, they can't work together on anything. But this Luther Strange versus Mr. Moore down in Alabama, this is like an 0-10 football team, and you're saying, hey, our running back is now challenged for his position as running back. We're already 0-10. It doesn't matter. Luther Strange was already there. He replaced Jeff Sessions. Zero got done with Luther Strange in Congress. I don't think this race matters whatsoever. I just don't think it's reasonable to think Congress is going to get anything done.
But, Emily, one reason that President Trump is standing by Luther Strange, and he said, is he's been loyal to me, and he hasn't asked for anything in return, whether it's trying to fix the disaster that is Obamacare, when you have fellow Republicans, again, John McCain on Friday, who won't step up and vote for something that could dramatically alter Obamacare for the better for many Americans.
Right, and that's key, and this race is key, but there are some key differences between Luther Strange and Moore, but there's one similarity. Now, their differences, Moore is seen kind of more as this ideologue. Luther Strange, though he's backed by Trump, is kind of seen more as the establishment guy who will cooperate with Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is spending a lot of money to make sure that Moore is not elected. So if Moore is elected, there's going to be a lot of hostility between him and Mitch McConnell, which could make it difficult to pass the Trump agenda in as far as Mitch McConnell is willing to advance it. Now, the key similarity between both of them is they're going to be responsive to a very Trump-friendly Alabama electorate. So at the end of the day, it's likely that both of them will advance his agenda. They'll just probably go about it in ways that could be very divisive for the party.
But, Jonas, one thing that the president needs, and frankly all Americans need, is something that helps economic growth, that puts more money in their pockets, and that is fixing Obamacare, and front and center come next week will be tax reform.
There's no question the person Trump is backing is going to help go in that direction. The problem is, to John Layfield's point, it's like 9 people short of doing the job. You would need to have a lot more people like this elected into roles which are not even up for office, so there's not going to happen. Basically, there's no path here. The president does not have the opportunity Obama had, which was an opportunity to raise the deficit more because it was relatively low compared to current things, and he had more votes on the same side. Obamacare, they got all the votes in line for that. So this president would need more people voting his way, or he's going to have to get votes from the other side, and Obama didn't have to do that with ACA. day. So I don't see a path to getting major legislation done which doesn't have one of these two things happen. If you think you're going to have a lot of wins in the midterms, then you go that way. But I think in all likelihood, these plans have to get votes on both sides and lose some votes on both sides, too. Maybe you'll lose 10 Republicans but gain 15 Democrats. It's the only way to get any changes done.
Chuck, I'll give you Democrats this one thing. You circle the wagons and you get in line and you stick by each other, even when your ideas are cockamamie and crazy.
Look, I ain't never going to come on this show and tell all you smart people how to do your stocks. So let me tell you something about politics and why this does matter, right? So why this matters is you've got Luther down there that Trump is with. You got Roy down there that Steve Bannon and other folks is with. The reason this really matters and Trump needs this win is we're heading to a midterm election, normally where the incumbent president loses his seat. So if you really want to get tax reform done or things done, the president needs to have some headway moving into those elections. And I think we should step back for a moment and recognize some good old Southern names. We've got Luther running against Roy for the U.S. Senate, for God's sakes, in Alabama.
But Gary B., I like how Chuck says we do stocks here. So I'll leave it at that. But Gary B., to that point that you've seen, there's such a pushback from Trump's fellow Republicans that when he reached across the aisle to get that short-term spending bill done, he said, "Get out of my way. I'm talking to Nancy and Chuck over here." And you know what? Voters loved it.
Yeah, exactly. One note. Do you notice Chuck did not deny that his and the Democrats' idea are cockamamie? He just went right by that. So, absolutely.
Spin,
look,
baby.
I think what the Republicans saw was that under Obama, the left, as you said, circled their wagons, and they were very rigid. It was Obama who said elections have consequences. That stung a lot. It stung to the Paul Ryans of the world. It stung the Mitch McConnells, and they said, darn it, we're going to have a spine too, and we're going to stand up for things. And what's happened, as John Layfield said, you have this total gridlock. Nothing's getting done. Again, for better or worse, a lot of people had one view of Trump. He just wants to get things done. I don't think all of them are good. I don't think all of them are bad. But he wants to move forward, and that's why people are applauding it.
One quick point, though, is that it's not the ideologues who are obstructing. It's actually the centrists like John McCain. You had Ted Cruz, you have Marco Rubio, of Michael Lee, and you had the Freedom Caucus and the Tuesday Group come together and all the health care legislation. So it's not necessarily the ideologues who are causing obstruction legislatively.
But John, you know what it is? It's lawmakers, whether they're senators or congressmen, just acting in their own self-interest and very often not willing to take a risk, which is exactly what you're seeing with this health care repeal. They don't want to take a risk because they're worried about their own hides. Even though this legislation would help Americans, they're worried about their own hides when they come up for re-election.
I think we're giving them way too much credit here. It's not the ideologues. It's all of Congress. I heard the greatest analogy of this week. It's not that they can't chew gum and walk at the same time. They can't chew gum or walk. You give Paul Ryan gum and you give Mitch McConnell the ability to walk, they're not going to get it done. They have gotten zero done. They promised for 7 years they would have Obamacare repeal on the first day. They promised by the August recess they would have tax reform. It's like Linus waiting on the great pumpkin. It's not coming. The one thing that we have a chance of getting is some tax cuts for the corporate tax rate and also for repatriation of money. If that happens, that's going to be big for the economy. But in '86, it took years to get tax reform done. And that was the president who was very popular with a Congress that did somewhat work together.
Amen. Thank you, guys.